If you've ever looked at a chart and thought, like, where the heck am I actually supposed to enter a trade, then this video is for you. Today, I am breaking down supply and demand and what those zones actually represent, and more importantly, how I personally mark supply and demand levels on my chart. Because I don't want you just drawing random rectangles around areas where price moved. I want you to understand why those levels matter and what I'm looking for when I mark them, and then how I trade around them, like how I build a plan around them. So let's just start with a quick supply and demand 101. At its most basic level, demand is where buyers step up aggressively, creating enough buying pressure to push the price higher. And supply is just the opposite. It's an area where sellers stepped up aggressively, creating enough selling pressure that price goes lower. So think about it like this: when there's a lot of demand and not enough supply, then price tends to go up. And then the opposite is true for supply. So on a chart, what we look for is areas where there's an imbalance that happened, and we use those areas as potential levels of interest. But here's where it gets important for traders. I'm not just interested in every single supply or demand zone on the chart. There's certain things that I look for when I'm deciding whether a level is actually worth marking off and worth trading from. It's more about like where the move originated, how aggressively price left out of that area, like what happened when price returned, and how those levels fit into the overall market structure. So in this video, I'm going to be taking you through exactly how I mark these levels, what makes it a good level versus one that I completely ignore, and then how I actually use them in my trading. All right, so let's get into it. On this chart right here, what I'm going to do is just go back to a random like replay so I don't have any recency bias. And I'm just going to scroll and rewind. All right, so this is where we are going to start. To mark my supply and demand levels, I only do this on the higher time frame. I'm basically looking for a higher time frame, like support and resistance levels is how I look at it. So I'm going to start off on the hourly. And what I'm looking for is large displacement candles, engulfing candles, aggressive moves, whatever you want to call it, but like really big, large, full bodied candles that moved out of an area. All right, so this right here is an area that I'm automatically interested in. My eyes are drawn to because that's a big candle right there, right? There's a lot of buyers that came out of this consolidation zone right here. So if you look left, there's a little bit of a chop zone before that aggressive move. So what that tells me, just like the concept behind it, is there was a lot of accumulation happening here. There were a lot of buyers. And institutions have large orders that they need to place. And sometimes when there's an aggressive move like this, it not all of their orders got placed. So you can assume that if it comes back and it retests that level, there's going to be more buy orders there and you could get a bounce. All right, so what I do is I have this little rectangle tool and I'll draw like a box around that region. And then I have a template that I have labeled demand zone or supply zone just to make it easy. So demand zone, and it makes it a green box. So you guys can do that if you want, but that's how I do it. So the way I mark it, typically what I'm looking for is a candle with the opposite color prior to the engulfing candle. So if it's a green candle up, I'm looking for a red candle prior to it. On this hourly chart, it doesn't have an opposite color candle. The 45-minute doesn't either. So you can look at the 30-minute and see if it does. This one doesn't. So perfect case scenario, I'd be looking for a candle of the opposite color. But the reason I'm going to pay attention to this level is because there's an obvious consolidation, like accumulation zone here before an aggressive move up. So the way I mark it is the wick of the main engulfing large aggressive candle, the wick from below that, and then the wick of the one previous before it. So that would be the box that I'm interested in. All right, let's find a couple more so that you guys can see kind of how I spot these zones. All right, so here's another one right here, and this is actually a a good example because it is the opposite color. So here's an aggressive move up. This 1 hour candle is very aggressive and then it continues up. So this level right here, there is the opposite colored candle. So I'm going to take the wick of that candle up to the body of that candle. So you can see right there. That's the zone that I'm interested in. And then what do you know? That wick right there retested it and had an aggressive buy up out of it. Let's see if we get any other retests. Not yet. So maybe we can go into play ahead and see if any of these levels get retested. All right, let's see if we have any others that stand out. So right here is a supply zone example. So here's an aggressive candle down, aggressive move down, and the candle previous to the left, one candle to the left, is the opposite color. So I'm going to mark off this zone right here, and I'll make it my template supply zone, so it's red. And let me show you if I extend this out. Look at that. It rejected that level once. It rejected it again, and then finally it ended up breaking through it. So you could have taken a couple of shorts off of that. Think of it like a basketball. If you have a nicely aired up basketball and you drop it from like 10 feet in the air, it's going to get one good bounce and then maybe another bounce, and then it's kind of going to like start to dribble along the floor and not bounce anymore. That's kind of the same idea here. It rejected once, rejected again, and then eventually it's going to break through. So the more it retests that level, the more it's less likely to hold. And people always ask me, like, how long do you keep that level? I keep it as long as it's still valid. So here, it rejected it. I would have kept the level still. Here, it rejected again. I would have kept the level. Once it breaks through, that's when I remove that level. So now I can delete that one. This one right here, I'm going to keep this level because it's been retested once, but it hasn't broken through. It's still above it. So there's times that I'll have a supplier demand level on my chart for like weeks or months, and then it finally gets retested, right? So keep those levels on your chart. All right, so hopefully that gives you guys an idea of how I mark the levels. I do go over this in depth in my FMT Academy. We actually did a full hour training on this last week, and people had one-on-one chance to like ask me questions and all that. So if you're looking for more one-on-one support, there is a link in the description below for my mentorship. Let's go over how I actually use these in my trading, because obviously this is a higher time frame. Like this is an hour chart, a 1 hour chart. And if you look at the range of this from the bottom to the top of that, that's a 48-point range. If you're a day trader and you're looking to take something on like the 5-minute or the 1-minute chart, a 48-point range is pretty big. That one's actually pretty small for a lot of the supplier demand zones that I mark off. But sometimes it's like a 100-point range. Like, how do you trade that? So the way I trade it is not the way, like if you watch my trading style, I do a lot of reversals. I do a lot of liquidity sweeps. I don't trade supply and demand zones the same way. I treat it more like a higher time frame support and resistance level. And I want to see how price reacts at that level. Most of the time, what it'll do is come down and it'll kind of like chop around a little bit, and then it'll have a move out of that level. Sometimes it's aggressive, like the one that I showed here where there's like an aggressive wick, but a lot of times it'll kind of chop around and maybe consolidate there. So what I'm doing is looking for like higher highs, higher lows on the 1-minute chart to show that we're actually getting a reversal at that level. Or another thing that I'll do is when I have levels that line up and I have multiple confluences or reasons to take a trade at that level, that is like an A+ setup for me. So let's say price action moves forward and we have our, like I trade the initial balance. So let's say this is our initial balance high up here, and then our initial balance low is here. Let's say that, all right? And then, so we have our price action going on here, and then it comes in down and retests that initial balance low and our demand zone down here, and price starts to react and get a buy up out of that level, then there's multiple reasons to take a long at that level, right? So I use the supply and demand levels as like higher time frames, support and resistance. That's how I look at it. And then when I zoom in on my daily trading, and I have my 15-minute opening range, I have my initial balance levels, I have VWAP. If some of those things line up for a reversal at that level, that right there is an A plus setup. All right, so hopefully this helps you guys see how I mark off my supply and demand levels and how I actually trade them. If you have any further comments or questions, feel free to comment below. I'm happy to help you guys out. And also, reminder, you can have a perfect strategy, you can have a perfect chart set up, but if you don't have the discipline to actually trade it and you have some issues there, you're not going to be a profitable trader. So if you're looking for more one-on-one help, definitely check out the FMT Academy. There is a link in the description below. You can apply to see if it's even a good fit to work with me one-on-one. I would be happy to have a phone call conversation with you. And hopefully this is helpful, you guys. I will see you in the next video.